When comparing Illustrator, Affinity and Inkscape, we also have to talk about brushes. At least that's what they are called in Illustrator and Affinity. Inkscape doesn't call them like that, and I think that helps with understanding them better. We are going to see that in a minute. So what you can do with brushes in Illustrator is the following. Let's go to the brushes panel, and here I've got a number of paths, and when you apply certain brushes to them, then you get a calligraphic result, or you can do something that you need in certain maps, or you can create something that you can then use in a logo, or you can use them to distort something. And it's very precise and controlled, so you can just move that around, use width profiles on that to control that further. And the nice thing is, and that's why they are so powerful, when you're done with distorting that or applying all these things, then you can outline them and make them into vector paths like this. And then you can use that in your logo or for cutting something that you put up your shop window. With this, that works as well. Expand that and you get a nice clean path. Let's take a look at what Inkscape does in order to understand how brushes work at all. So when you take a look at the panels in Inkscape, then you see it doesn't even have a brushes panel. The only thing it has is this tool that looks like a brush, but it's the calligraphy tool. So when you choose that, then you get these presets here, and we can have a tip pen, and when drawing with that, then you see, well, this resembles Illustrator's calligraphy brush. When selecting that afterwards, then you see it has been immediately outlined. You can do all the other things as well. Let's take a look at how. Here I've got that shape that I want to build a rope from. And in order to do that, you can just copy that and then select the path you want to apply it to. And then what we need is a path effect from the path effects panel. And there what we need is pattern along path. And we take this from the clipboard, so paste the path. And here we have all these things. So we can have single stretched, which looks like what Illustrator does with an art brush. And we can also have single, so this just applies it. So then we can have it repeated, which is what Illustrator did with the scatter brush, so that shape doesn't get distorted. And then we can also do it like this, and then it gets distorted. We can adjust the spacing and the width and everything. So this is what we get. And then afterwards, we can turn that object into a path, and then we have it outlined and have a vector path. When we want to distort this word, so this text has been outlined, we take the other way around. So now I'm going to copy this path and then select the word and apply another live path effect, which is bend. And here as well, I can do it directly on the canvas, but we can also use something from the clipboard. So just paste that. And here you see, obviously, this has been used to distort this word. But you can then go to this tool, which is that node tool, and move those nodes around and further distort it, or just use that. And then again, afterwards, you can outline that to use that in your logo and whatnot. This is what those brushes actually do. From how Inkscape calls them, we can actually see what happens here. So this is not about painting, which the word brush would suggest. This is about distorting or repeating artwork along some other path. Affinity is again organized like Illustrator. So we have a brushes panel and we also have a brushes tool. But you have to be a little careful because everything is in one app. So you have to be careful to use the brushes that are meant for the vector tools. So you find them in Window, Vector, and then path brushes. There's another brushes panel in the general subcategory, which is this one, but those only work on pixel layers, not on paths. So when you have that, then you can go to the path brush tool and draw some calligraphy, for instance. And for that, we have some brushes inside the pens subcategory, which is this one there. And then again, we have differently constructed brushes. So let's go for this one here. And then you can also double click it and see the options. So in here we have a solid brush and we can edit the width. And you see, I haven't used a graphic tablet, I've used the mouse, so we do not have access to pressure settings. It can be tied to velocity, so to the speed which you are using for drawing. I haven't seen any difference when using a mouse for drawing, so probably that doesn't work with a mouse at all. So I'm going to close that. We've got other brushes. So I want to make that rope circle, and I have set up the brush already for that. It's in here, and we can just apply that. And you see, there it is. Let's double click that. So this is what is called a textured intensity brush. You have to make that yourself. I'm going to take a look at all the details in other videos. So be not afraid. We can check out all the differences, and you can see you can have it repeated and it will always be bent with the path. So there's no option to have that undistorted. You can also limit that here, and you see this will affect the distance, but also it will cut off that shape. Let's close that. We can also apply it like this, which is basically the same brush, only it's been set to stretch. And you can already see it gets blurry. So what's important? These two are not vector-based brushes. These two are pixel-based. So you have to create them in a sufficient resolution. But also they cannot be expanded so that they are paths. So you cannot use them in logos. This one can be expanded. Let's go to expand stroke, and then you get a nice path. This is expanded as a vector path. These two are not. These are brushes in Affinity. So as you can see, they have run into this misconception that brushes mean painting, and painting is best done in pixels. And then as a consequence, you as a user do not have the options that you could have with brushes of repeating and distorting objects with them and still stay in vectors and have all the flexibility.